Hey everybody, it's Casual Boobs coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to cover the Object 703 Mark II, one of the Tier 8 Soviet heavy tanks, and it's premium, of course. And the reason I'm covering this is because if you're watching this when it's released, when the video is released, this tank is up for sale. It's the last tank on the Advent calendar for 2020, and it's available from the 25th of December through the end of the year. And it's only available for gold. It's in the shop. I'm sorry, it's only available for money, not for gold, and it's in the shop. And so many of you might be wondering, oh, is this thing worth picking up? There's a lot of hype about this thing. Should I spend some money on this thing? It came in last year's loot boxes. That was the loot box exclusive tank, and I think it may have been sold at some point in the year, but I don't remember exactly. In any case, there's a lot of hype around this thing and how good it supposedly is, and so I figured I'd just do a more thorough review of this thing and let you know what I think about it and whether it's something where you should spend your money on. So, okay, so right away we're going to get into the stats, and I'll try to keep this brief. I'm going to compare it really quickly to the Defender, and it compares very well, to be honest. It's very similar to the Defender with a few key differences. So, mainly, I would like to point out that the Defender has lower DPM, but the Defender can also mount a rammer, and the 703 cannot. You can't mount a rammer on the 703. And this DPM that is expressed here, this 1952, that is only effective if you shoot, the 703 has two barrels. That's the whole meme. And if there's a few ways you can shoot it, right? You can shoot the first round, and then you can go ahead and wait 5 seconds or so, and then shoot or wherever it is here. You can wait 5 seconds and then shoot it again. And shoot your second barrel, and then you'll be on a deeper reload. It's almost like an auto reloader, right? Or you can shoot the first one, and then it'll reload faster, and you just keep that. That's the you'll just pretend it's a single shot gun, and that's the only way to maximize this DPM. Or you can do what's called a salvo, where there's a brief charge up time. You'll hold down the mouse button or whatever button you map it to, and it'll kind of charge up and then shoot both guns at the same time. And if you do that, then there's like a cooldown period, and then your deep reload starts. So at that, you have the most time to wait before you are loaded and ready to shoot again if you salvo. So if you do salvo, your DPM goes to crap, and the only way this 1900 figure is legitimate is if you treat this like a single shot gun and ignore the fact that it has two barrels completely. So I'd just like to point that out. So this is a little bit misleading. It looks better, but it in practice kind of isn't, in my experience. So also you have lower alpha than the Defender, which you do notice. But yeah, I'll keep this light. Basically, the things that are interesting about this, it has god-awful dispersion, right? So 0.42 is bad, and you definitely notice that. It's a huge issue. And the aim time is also tragically bad. The aim time is worse than the Defender. And it would appear that the gun stats are substantially better, and they kind of are, but it's just I can't put my finger on why. But I have better luck with the Defender gun than I do with this thing, and I think probably, I don't know, I'm not sure why. But the one thing that's notable here is the turret traverse is 0.06, which I believe is better than an Object 140. We're just gonna find out real quick. I think that's true, but let me just verify it. Yeah, turret traverse on a standard Object 140 without any equipment or anything else is 0.1. So this is actually better than the turret traverse is better than an Object 140. So it's very strange because you move the tank forward and backward, and if you traverse the hull, then you get the bloom and stuff. But if you move the turret, just the turret by itself, you almost don't bloom out hardly at all. But the trade-off here is that you're not blooming out very far, but the final accuracy is still awful. So it's a bit of a weird tank, to be honest. And so skills like Snapshot that improve this do hardly anything. V-stabs, I mean, that'll help these figures as well, but mostly you would use it for this. Doesn't really do much. IRM, same story. I mean, IRM was going to help these two things, but it's mostly people use it for this. Doesn't really do a whole lot. So it's a bit of an odd duck as far as equipment is concerned, and you can't mount a rammer, so what do, right? Your difference in gun depression is noticeable. Like, the Defender has 6, which is, fine. I wouldn't call it good, but it's acceptable, and the 703 has 5, which is, like I said, you notice the difference in the fact that you don't have as much gun depression. Otherwise, for the most part, a lot of these other aspects, looks like the 703 mobility would be substantially better, but it's about the same. The forward speed having 38 as opposed to 35 you're in my experience, the offset, like the power to weight being lower, is offset by the terrain resistances being lower, and so it ends up being just about as fast as a defender. So don't look at this and think, oh my god, it's so much faster. It isn't. It's about the same speed. Other things don't really matter, to be quite honest. It's, you know, you can look at this stuff, but it's basically very similar. I will say that the premium penetration on the defender is like 265 APCR, which I like, because you don't have to get trolled by tracks and spaced armor. And the 703 gets a premium penetration of I think it's 270, and it's heat, which is, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's just, I don't know. I find the thing very frustrating. So I'm not saying this is the correct answer, but this is what I've been experimenting with just to try to get the thing to do what I want to do. And equipment-wise, I run the hardening just for hit points, because I can't honestly think of anything better to put on this, and the vents, and this is a strange one. I'm probably going to get some hate on this one, but the improved aiming, just because I'm trying to get this thing to hit what I frickin' aim at, to be honest. And so I've thrown this on there with food and brothers in arms and stuff. Just, this is my loadout, just when I was testing it out to see if I could get the thing to hit what I aimed at, and I got it down to 0.37, and it's still bad. So, like, if God forbid you try to hit a cupola, it's just not going to happen. Like, even with me try-harding as best as I can, it just doesn't, it's not accurate. Oh my god. And so I found it very frustrating to play. Yeah, but armor-wise, you know, shooting itself, armor holds up pretty good. The hull's okay. At tier 8, the hull's pretty good, and the turret is very good. You got these cupolas. If you're facing one of these things and they just, you know, they're just sitting here holding still, daring you to shoot them, then they've got a cupola. You can pen that. Obviously, if you tap 2, they have this very well-angled forehead thing. If you have a high pen heat round, you have a much better chance of penning that, especially if you can get some kind of angle on it. It is very well angled. Basically, you can shoot beside the gun. The turret is very solid. I'll say it like that. The hull is okay, but again, there aren't very many places where you can make 5 degrees of gun depression work and stay hull down. Like, it is good, but it's not like you can find places to make this work all the time everywhere. So don't get it twisted. It can be very good, but it's not like every single situation is always going to be god tier awesome like this. And there's also the strip just below the gun, or just to the side of gun. So, like, the turret is good, but it has little spots that you can shoot it at. So that's the armor and my kind of equipment loadout. People are going to ask this, and so I'll just you know, this is, I'm sure, what most people are going to use, which is vents, IRM, and a V-stab. And, like, your dispersion is a 0.37. Like, it does definitely make the gun handling better, but your final dispersion is still 0.39. So, like, this is the conventional move. I'm not sure that this is the best one. I'll just say it like that. I could be wrong. If you have discovered the secret sauce to this tank, please let me know so I can play it better in the comments. So, anyways, with that, we'll get right into the video. Thanks. All right, so we're gonna jump right into the game here and follow Beanhole Bandit, which is a fantastic name, playing his 703 Mark II, and it's a 3 artillery game with tier 10s in the game, and no light tanks, no wheelie boys. And I chose this game because this is, you know, there's all kinds of games out there where a 703 gets to eat a bunch of tier 6s and has a fantastic game and just rolls over everybody. And I did want to show one of those because that's not realistic, and not all of your games are going to be like that. I think a lot of your games are going to be against tier 10s, and they're going to have 3 artillery, so I wanted to show one of those. So this won't be a raffle stomp, oh my god, blah blah blah, best tank in the game, but this is going to be a little more realistic of what you can expect to see out of this tank on a regular basis. So, I'm not sure that Beanhole Bandit is using the equipment that I suggested in the video, by the way. I don't know if he's using what I suggested. Probably isn't, but anyways, so you can see, luckily, Beanhole has managed to kind of make this whole skating down across the ridge here thing work, but I have a feeling that the only reason this did work is because that AMX 5120 took the hits, right? So I don't think, if the 5120 would not have been there, I think that Beanhole Bandit would probably be dead right now. So this is part of the reason that, especially when there's 3 artillery, I do not like going this direction, because you just, more often than not, I find like I die. I just die, and I don't get to do anything, so no fun. But yes, this, and also, right, here's the other reason, is the enemy team on the north spawn gets a much easier path down into this little valley than our team. So, Oh, and look at the accuracy on this. This is what I'm saying. Like 0.42. You know, maybe you can hit a thing, maybe. But like that chieftain got down in the dip there, but nobody else could follow him because it's not as easy of a path. So he got jumped by about 5 or 6 of the enemy team, and that's where his game ended. So it's really kind of a crapshoot, to be honest. And now we're about to see what happens. Why 3 artillery in a game is super fun and balanced and dynamic. And but luckily, Beanhole Bandit has found a little pocket here where he can demonstrate the physics engine of this game, how incredible it is. But he can also stay mostly already safe, right? He's got this slope to his left, where as long as he keeps skating around like this, he's probably pretty much safe from the artillery. And he's using his DPM here where he's not shooting for some reason. But in any case, you see here he still had to trade 2 shots for that. You know, he probably could have salvoed, but it wouldn't have saved him that much time, to be honest. So, you know, you have 2 guns, and you can do the reverse or the auto reloader type mechanic, but like, it's not like you could just, you're not a Barask, right? You're not gonna go pew pew. Oh my God, skating around. So, and you know, these pens are, I would say, Beanhole Bandit has been using premium rounds the entire time, right? The good player rounds. So, if you're not doing that, you're not going to have nearly as much fun. You're not going to, a lot of these shots would not have penned. And even on that Bisante, you know, wow, it's just skating around. This is crazy. The lower plate shot was about a 50-50 because the reticle was so big. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate. And you can see even this tiny little ridge, Beanhole Bandit is struggling to make the gun do what he wants it to do, right? You can't really hit any of those guys. But luckily, those guys are not familiar with what you can and cannot do in a game with 3 artillery in this map, because I'm going to tell you right now, where they are is not already safe, and this is why heat rounds are disappointing. It's because that one probably would have gone in if it was a PCR. But Beanhole decides not to shoot his next round yet because he wants to wait for his first one to load, right? Just like an auto reloader. So now he's got both rounds, gets a lucky fire, and his next one's going to be up in just a few seconds, except for the friendly arty stun. Super fun. And luckily gets some help from the 268. So we kind of lucked out there, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is, right? The RNG makes the game fun and exciting. But look at the graveyard of dead tanks here. 3 artillery is unplayable, and this Super Conk is about to see like what that is like, right? I mean, everybody won. You know, all those tanks, they ganked the chieftain, and then they all sat here and died because 3 artillery made it so that you couldn't even play the game. And here we go. Super Conk gets punished for playing the game, and I'll say, like, Beanhole Bandit is not necessarily like, he's keeping things lit. He's spotting the Super Conk for the artillery and he's staying safe. But like, he's not really doing a whole lot. He's just kind of skating around and testing physics, right? And so I get that this is not the most exciting gameplay to watch because, you know, he's not brawling and doing awesome stuff. He also has 13 hit points, right? So that's something. But like, this is also what your games are going to be a lot of, right? You can't just run in there with your, you know, pants on your head and go brawl with tier 10s and expect to be okay. Like, it's still a tier 8 tank, and it's a fine tier 8 tank, but it's not going to go toe-to-toe with tier 10s, right? So I just want to set that expectation. There seems to be a lot of hype around this vehicle, like, oh my god, it's so good, because it's, I don't know, it's so good. 2 barrels. But like, you know, you're seeing it now. Like, he just doesn't really get to do a whole lot because they're still already in the game, and these tier 10s are still tier 10s. So, yeah, can't bring the gun down to shoot that guy because -5 doesn't really let you do a whole lot. So now we just get, you know, luckily Beanhole Bandit has the 268 behind him and the Sturv behind him, and then 3 artillery. So that Super Conk gets to, you know, experience dynamic gameplay here. And our push in the north has failed, presumably for the same reasons, because that's what Artie can hit on the north side. The enemy artillery can't hit Beanhole Bandit, so they probably made it rain on the AB line. Anyways, we just get to sit tight here until the Super Conk inevitably dies. And we'll just wait for it. There it is. Okay, nice. Yeah, that guy had fun. And so Beanhole Bandit is going to move up, and physics... And, okay, this is where my games usually end when I try to do this. Because Wargaming have made it that they do not want you to do what you're seeing here. This is risky, right? They've made it so that this is tricky to do. Like I said, I normally drown here when I try this stuff, but Beanhole Bandit did not. Hooray! So, here we go. Now, I will say, Beanhole Bandit is reloading APCR standard rounds, which is probably a solid move, I suppose. I don't know. But he still has 13 hit points. There's 3 artillery, a T-30, and a Bisante left, and all he has to do is get splashed by anything, and he's gonna die, right? And there's not a whole lot. I don't really agree with his deployment here, because, to be honest, wow, again with the physics. Because if somebody were to rush it, like, we don't know where those other 2 tanks are, and they could be anywhere. And so if they end up showing up right at the top of this hill, they could just push in on Beanhole Bandit, and there's nobody here to help him, and they're probably already safe, and so that's the end of his game. So it's always good in an endgame scenario like this to think about where are you going, and if you get pushed by the enemy team, they make pressure, where will you be, will anybody be able to assist you? And right now the answer is no. So I think that this is a really risky play, especially the fact that the enemy artillery is almost certainly at like A9, A0, somewhere over there. And so this is a really easy spot to get shot by artillery. And I'm surprised they weren't pre-aiming, right? We just got lit by the T-30. And I'm surprised that they weren't pre-aiming and that Beanhole Bandit isn't dead right now, because he probably should be, probably deserves to be. But, oh well, here we are. And we're just, again, spotting for artillery, awkwardly. While our 2 other tank destroyers go around the north side, and we got 6.5 minutes, let's finish this up, right? So, the important thing is to play patient, because there's no hit points to go around, nothing spare. We just want to wait for the T-30 to come around this corner, or make the move. Oh, here we go, okay. Because we do have artillery, again, 3 of them, so there's no point in running in there and being man mode, when you can just do this and let the global balancing take care of things. Right, so he was last spotted on 480 hit points, and let's just see. The first one definitely hit, but the second one, I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, so I apologize if this replay is not what you were hoping to see or the most exciting thing, but I wanted to be truthful and honest about what games are like in this tank, and this is pretty well sums up my experience, which is awkward and uncomfortable and frustrating, which is oh, here we go T-30, and T-30 whiffs the shot. Beanhole Bandit should be dead here. If that T-30 had just waited and aimed, the game for Beanhole Bandit would be over. But here we go, we shut down the T-30, and now we have to pray to God that the artillery is not paying attention for some reason, or not loaded, and get way back here and just wait to be unspotted. Yeah. Now, the other downside here is that I believe the base view range of this thing and the Defender is about 350 meters for both. So you can get crew skills and your brothers in arms and stuff, and vents are going to help improve that a little bit. But you can see on the mini-map, the little blue circle there, that's his max, that's Beanhole Bandit's max spotting distance, and it's not very good, right? The yellow circle is the global max, like that's as good as it could possibly get, and we aren't anywhere close to that. So what that means is, once you start factoring in camo values for things, Beanhole Bandit is probably going to get outspotted by just about everything. And so this is another drawback if you're trying to do your own spotting, like right now, yeah. So we don't know what that was. Presumably the Bisante spotted us, but we don't really know that. It could have been an artillery in a bush, and that is totally plausible that we would be outspotted by an artillery in a bush, because the view range of this thing is awful. So I'm just pointing this out. I'm not trying to, like, the tank can do things, but I don't want to make it seem like this thing is the next best, like the most bestest tank in the entire world, because I kind of think it's overhyped. I don't think it's very good. It's okay, but I think there are better premium heavies out there, you know? Anyway, so here we go. And now we're seeing 390 Alpha, right? Yeah, if that was a Defender, maybe you would have, maybe that shot would have been a one-shot and you would have actually gotten the kill. But 390 Alpha does matter, and that's one reason why. So Defenders, let's see, the Bisante is dead, so we pretty much just get to clean this up. We just have to make sure that we don't get splashed by artillery. Oh my god. So you can see the reticle it aims in really slow, but it also, as you're moving the gun around, it's fairly well behaved. And again, we get the low roll again, or I suppose that's not even, it is. It's a slight roll, low roll, 373, I think it was. But like, not to say that you couldn't have rolled the same with the defender, but you're less likely to roll that low with a defender, right? You're more likely, when the gun is higher alpha, to roll higher numbers. And so these are the kinds of things where, like, okay, 390, it's a 50-50 whether he gets this one. And no, you don't. So the lack of the lack of alpha doesn't sound like a big difference between 390 and 440, but in a lot of cases it really does. It really does matter. So I just want to point that out. Alright, so at the end of the game, we ended up, Beanhole Bandit ended up picking up 3,800 damage, 4 kills, 2,800 spotting because of the artillery. And that ended up being an ace tanker just because a lot of these tanks, a lot of the things that Beanhole Bandit was shooting were within his own spotting and higher tier than him. So that left him with a base XP of 1,777, which again, that's pretty good stuff. And yeah, you can see here at the last bit, Beanhole Bandit had a lot of bonuses, personal reserves, and so on and so forth from probably the winter event. So he ended up taking home 207,000 after accounting for ammo. But without all that holiday ops stuff, I think he would have. Let's see, that accounted for 120. So he probably would have netted 70,000 with premium, without any of that stuff. So you know, spamming the heat has a cost, so he would have probably come away with about 70,000, and that's okay. But for a game like that, I would have hoped it would be higher, but unfortunately, because you kind of have to shoot that heat sometimes, it'll eat into the profits. So anyways, so that's the replay, and congratulations to Beanhole Bandit on the great game, and hopefully this will help you guys decide whether this tank is something you want to have or spend money on, or maybe you'll just decide that the hype's not really worth it. I personally, I don't really care for it. I'd rather play a defender or a whole bunch of other stuff, honestly. So it's not really worth it to me, but hopefully this will help some of you guys decide. All right, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks. Okay, bye.